Hello and welcome to the Relationships and Chill podcast. In today's episode, we're going to be discussing how to rebuild a broken relationship and where do you start the process of building a better relationship. I think it's going to be very interesting, and a couple of key takeaways would be to make sure that you open up the dialogue and try to understand your partner's perspective and try to understand your own perspective. And those are the things that will get the relationship back on track. So make sure you stay tuned and listen to the whole episode to get even more insight. Peace.
You're listening to Relationships and Chill, the podcast for singles and couples about how to find and cultivate the relationship you've always dreamed of, based on trust and honest communication. Why waste your time going through the typical dating obstacle course, only to end up with drama, jealousy, and heartbreak, when you can find the love of your life and live happily ever after? So sit back, chill, and get ready to make relationships great again.
Greetings, everyone. Greetings. Welcome to another edition of Relationships and Chill. I am your gracious host, R. Anthony, and I am here with my co-host, Christina Lynn. Christina Lynn, say what's up to the party people.
What's up? What's up?
Representing Detroit.
313.
There you go. There you go. But yeah, so today's episode, what we want to talk to you guys about is how do you rebuild the relationship after you go through the setbacks and you go through the infidelity and you go through the mistrust issues and you go through the bad things that could break the relationship, and you guys decide to let's try to make it work. So where do we begin to start the process of trying to make it work? Because that gloss, that feeling that was there before has been wiped off. Yeah. Now it's the real deal. It's game time. You guys are working from scraps. And so how do you take them scraps and make them to something that could be beautiful or as beautiful or even more beautiful than they were before? But right now you're down to the bare bones of what's left. What's that?
I said, I have no idea where to start. Shoot.
Oh man, I probably should have my woman in on this one.
You sure should.
We've had moments like that. Actually, I think that's probably why I wanted to do this, because at that moment we had moments like that, and you know we've had some moments where it was like, man, it's a wrap for me. I am done.
Yeah, because you just don't play. You
nah,
you one of those. Hey, this is how it's gonna be.
But I mean, it wasn't like she did nothing. But it wasn't she did something so severe. But it was just like certain things when you put it out there and say this is what I require, and a person doesn't meet that requirement, you're faced with a decision.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whether or not you're going to continue or you're going to remove yourself from that situation. And I think it just really depends on how serious the person is about working on the issue.
Yeah.
And in that process, now here's the funny part about it is you may be dominant and that may be the issue right now. And the issue is their problem, something that they're actually doing. But eventually the pendulum swings and then your issues start coming to the forefront. And now we got to deal with you and your ways. Because, okay, now once he's doing what he's supposed to be doing and he's doing it right, and you guys are interacting, you guys are growing together, eventually he's going to start seeing things different because now he's different. So now he's going to say, let me investigate you a little bit more. Now we got to figure out, why you're so bitter and why you're so prideful and why you're so combative. Why do you mislead people? We got to figure some things out about you now. And so it's a work in progress. It's a seesaw match. Now we're working against each other, but with each other. We're figuring out each other. But if you think about it, it's a good thing. Because guess what? You're progressing. You're progressing as an individual. You're getting better. They're getting better as an individual. They're progressing. So together it's like a seesaw match, but the seesaw keeps going up higher. It starts floating.
Mm-hmm.
It's a seesaw that floats up into the air.
Oh, that sounds like a good relationship.
I think it is a good relationship.
That's all right. Yeah.
But how do you get to that point? How do you even get to that awareness to where that's something that you even want to do? How do you begin the process of rebuilding something that was nice at first, and then you learned about the person, learn more about the person, and now who they are? Because what it is, it's the fantasy that's gone. It's the fantasy that you've created. That's the part that's gone. And now the idea, the dream that you had, that's what you're fighting against internally.
Mm-hmm.
You're fighting against the dream that you had of how you guys were and how you guys are best friends.
So the dream versus reality.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Wow.
Exactly.
Wow. That's
So we
big.
got to start there. Really, we got to start with the dream.
Okay.
We got to start with the dream that you have of this particular person. You know, for women, obviously you have you like, this is a good guy. He doesn't cheat. He does what he needs to do. He take care of his family, take care of his kids, and whoop-de-woo. And then come to find out, he's been dipping and dabbling in the streets. So now we got to figure out, what are you going to do? Because the idea and the dream of that you had of him is not that anymore. So now we gotta make a decision. And I think there's only really two decisions. You have to be realistic, or you have to look for another dream. You got to be realistic in the fact that people make mistakes. People do things because of multiple reasons. But I think more of it is the feeling that that person that you thought they were would be able to come to you and talk to you about it. But because that person violated that kind of unspoken agreement, it kind of created in you the feeling that I can't, well, it's definitely a mistrust. Like, you don't trust that person now but the worst of it has been done, because usually it's the thing that people fear the most that is the thing that happens to them.
Yeah.
So, and the scripture says in Job that what I have feared has came upon me.
Ooh.
And that's because that fear in you can actually be causing you to push a person in that direction.
That's right.
I know a lot of people that, you know, they're in relationships and they don't want to be a single parent. And because they're fighting against their own internal idea of what it means to be a single parent, being a statistic or whatever, that causes a fear. And that fear will create an anger, it will create a resentment, it will create a pushback to where you actually believe that person is already doing that.
Mm-hmm.
You create in your mind the reasons why they're doing is pushing you to be the thing that you fear being.
Okay. So
if you fear being a single parent, anything that person is doing is making you believe that they're trying to get away from you.
So if I fear being cheated on, then
you're going to suspect that he's cheating, or
gotcha.
That he, even if he sees another woman, you're going to suspect that he would be interested in another woman.
Gotcha.
Even though but that's the thing, like, that's the reality of it. And me and my wife, we look at, I look at a woman and say, man, she got a big, and she'll be like, just look at that woman's butt. Like, we have that kind of relationship, because it's like, I'm gonna be me. I like looking at women.
That's right.
I do. But if women are honest with yourselves, you like looking at women.
Yeah.
Not the same way, but y'all like looking too. Like, what is she wearing? Like, I can't believe. And then y'all will do a little comparison, a quick snap, like, dang, she got a nice body. Or
that's right.
You know what I'm saying? But if we being real and we being honest about things, you got to accept that. Especially with the way these women are dressing nowadays. Me and my wife was in Walmart the other night. This girl had on some panties in Walmart.
What?
And they were like the lingerie, like she had just got out of bed and walked into Walmart. It was a few of them. They
That's
were like wearing
crazy.
practically nothing. Like I live in Georgia, so this is like big butt Mecca.
Yeah,
So
yeah, it is.
so down
Yeah,
here, like you can be blinking and just keeping your head straight and just driving straight or just walking straight, and you're gonna see about 50 women with nice bodies.
yeah,
Just from
that's
walking
how it
straight
go.
with your eyes, you know what I mean, with blinders on, you could just be literally walking straight and never turn your head and see at least 50 women in a grocery
Mm-hmm.
store that are very attractive.
That's right. That's right.
So you gotta be realistic for one thing. I mean, women want to be looked at. That's why they dress the way they dress.
Got that right.
You know what I mean? Like, and a man has eyes, and if he likes women, he's gonna look. Even if he don't like women, he gonna look.
You gonna look like, oh,
Everybody's gonna look at a woman. That's just
yeah.
it's just weird. Like a woman is the most beautiful creature on earth. So
Yes.
everybody is gonna look, even other women.
That's right.
And so that's a reality you got to get past and got to just okay. That's how it is.
Mm.
But I think a woman and a man should be open enough to have that dialogue as to being realistic about who you are as an individual. Because I know that's what I did with me and my wife. Like, hey, this is me, baby. This is just how I am. I have a very high level of testosterone.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, we have an understanding that we talk about everything. I express to her how I feel about things. I express to her what I see in things, and we do the same. We do it back and forth. We're in a relationship. We're in a partnership. We're in a commitment for the rest of our life.
That's right.
So
But you guys have built honest communication. So there's so much trust there.
well, that's how we got to the honest communication part. Is
That's
that
right.
moment where we were starting to we had to make a decision whether we were going to rebuild or we were going to let it go.
Mm-hmm.
Once we decided to rebuild, we made a pact and an agreement that we would be friends and be able to express the truth to each other and not hold it or be condemning to each other in that truth.
Oh,
And no matter how much it hurts, we want to be open and honest with each other. And you know what? It made our relationship 80 million times better because now we're just being ourselves. It's like
wow.
it's like that moment when you just like let it all go. Just that moment when you know what I'm saying, you around a whole bunch of people and you walk away and you let it go, just, and you just let that thing go and you like, boy, that part felt good, man. I can sleep now, and that's how it feels. It feels like that.
I don't mean no harm.
I mean, I'm for real. You stay around me if you want to. I'm gonna mean some harm for real. It's gonna be some harm. You better listen. Don't call me. I'm walking over. I'm walking away. I'm walking away. Please don't follow me, Christina. You walked in on one too. I tried. I was up there visiting Christina, and we was at the place that she was working at. And she had her own living quarters, and I was in there. I was like, man, boy, I'm telling you, I was holding that for about a good.
You tried so
I tried,
hard.
boy. I tried to go into the little bathroom area because it had the little slide door. I went in there, and I just like, okay, she ain't gonna be back for another about 5-10 minutes. It should be enough time for it to cool down. And literally, as soon as I walked out of there, she walked right in.
I walked right in.
It followed me right past the doorway. I walked past the doorway, but it stayed like lingered right there in the doorway, the door frame. It didn't go past that into the living room area. It just stayed right there. And boy, when I tell you when she walked into that door frame, it slapped her in the face. It's like somebody slapped her in the face, and she just backed up. She was like, "Whoa!" I was like, "Listen." Cause she had, that's what it was. You made me a shake. You made me one of them shakes with all kinds of stuff in there. She had like all kinds of greens and
oh my goodness.
I don't know what she put in there, boy. Boy, when I tell you,
strawberries. I think I had pineapples there.
Man, you put everything in there. You put everything you had in there, boy.
I sure did.
The bottom dropped out. I said, man, I got to go. I got to go. But anyway, it feels like that. It feels like one of those. Y'all know y'all had moments like that. The bottom had dropped out, but it felt good to release. And that's what it feels like when you go through the process and you get that thing out. A lot of people are so afraid to face that truth. They
Yeah.
don't want to face the truth of themselves, and they don't want to face the truth of their significant other. And so you just have a relationship of two people that are building up their own internal lives separate.
Right.
They never
Hmm.
really know each other. They're
Right.
harboring two separate but understandings of each other. So the person that you're basing it off of is the person that was 2 years ago, a year ago, 6 months ago, 5 years ago, because
Hmm.
now they're living the person that they know you want to see,
Right.
or you believe that you see, and that's who they're living. They're not living the truth.
That's right.
But if you have went through that process, then you know what I'm talking about. It is a hurtful process.
Oh, that's so hurtful. Yes,
It
it
really
is.
is a hurtful
Yes, it
process.
is. It's very painful. Any kind of betrayal
Mm-hmm.
is very painful. And I'm speaking firsthand. I know for myself, I've been through it. You guys know if you've listened in since my introduction. I went through a very painful divorce, and that was due to infidelity. Um, and it's just something that I know, for every human being, we all crave loyalty. you know we all want to be honored by our mates. And it's a very deep wound that is created through infidelity. And it's one that I feel like everyone that does endure a relationship that had infidelity in it. I believe every person needs time to heal from that so that they don't continue, to attract that type of person, because there's something inside of us as we have, um, you know, these kind of experiences. We've attracted it in some way, whether it was something that we've done ourselves or whether it's a thought process that we have, whether it's a fear that we feel. There is a connection between that and the person who does cheat on us.
Right.
And it's very important for us to take that responsibility and knowing that it comes from us first. And to me, I think that, when you do that, it's a lot easier to get to the place of wanting to resolve with somebody
What do you
else
mean?
because you recognize yourself in the whole scenario. I think when you have the victim mentality and you're
Right.
just pointing the finger only at them, it's much easier to walk away from them,
Mm.
if
Explain.
that
Like, what do
makes
you
sense.
mean?
What was that?
What do you mean? It's easier to walk away from them when.
Yeah, it's easier to, if you're the victim, if you're the one that's been cheated on and you don't recognize your own responsibility in it, like if you don't see that a part of this came from you in the first place, that type
Mm,
of person, the person who would commit this betrayal would not have come into your life had it not been for something inside of you attracting them to you.
mm.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I
So
understand now.
yeah, it's like that victim mentality of, oh, this is all his fault. He's this and that. Like, it's easier for me to see that person as being an evil person for me to walk away. And I think that nobody's necessarily quote unquote all dark and all evil and,
Right.
all of that stuff. Like, it's a reason why certain things happen. And I said all that just to say, that we have to take our own responsibility too, in the
Mm.
betrayal.
Right.
You
It
know,
puts you in a position of power to, instead of being the victim, you will always be the victim in
right?
that scenario. But the moment you start taking power, you'll begin to be more balanced and realistic in your approach to dealing with that type of person. And you'll begin to notice the signs a lot sooner.
Oh
That's
yeah.
another thing too. When you take power, if you just continue to play the victim role, then you won't see what type of person is that person genuinely.
Hmm.
And it'll create another fear that you don't want to be hurt again. And then that'll
Hmm.
happen again and again. So you keep creating these things that you're saying, I don't want. I don't
Yeah.
want. Instead of saying, I want somebody that's loyal and somebody that does not do these things.
Right.
So you're creating a positive affirmation as opposed to a negative affirmation.
Right.
both affirmations, both gonna attract, but one's gonna attract what you want, one's gonna attract what you don't want.
Right.
So, but the building process is like renovating. You got two options when you want to clean up a. We was at a hotel recently, and they were doing some renovations,
Mm-hmm.
and in Indianapolis, and when you're doing renovations, you don't never just do it all at once. You do parts.
Right.
You do it in sections, because then it creates. Because if not, it creates a unlivable environment if you just try to
Mm-hmm.
do it all at once. So everybody has to clear out, or you can just blow the whole hotel up and just start from scratch. You know what I mean? But that involves leaving the relationship and starting over with a new relationship. And sometimes you have to blow up parts of it, but I think if you go through and you renovate, if it already has a good foundation and it has a good frame and everything is decent, it's just this one area. You work on that area and the areas around that area. So if the
Mm.
issue is infidelity, then you dive in it head on.
Okay.
You don't buck dance around it. You deal with it directly. Like, why? Let's find out a issue. Let's find out a solution. Don't like, okay, don't do this again, and just never talk about it again.
But what about when you go to your man and you say, listen, why would you cheat on me? Why would you hurt me this way? And they don't give you an answer. Like they cannot give you a reason. Then
Because
what do you do then?
it's probably more than they think and know you are able to handle, or what they believe you're able to handle. Because they want to see
Mm.
how you respond to the issue of the it just happening.
Okay.
So, but if you can, if you like, okay, for like in an example, if a guy tells you, or you find a man cheating on you,
Hmm.
and then you guys have a conversation about the infidelity, the things he probably did specifically, like, I ain't gonna lie, I've done it, and with my
Hmm.
woman, I went to details
Hmm.
of what happened, so
Hmm.
she can get an understanding of who she's dealing with,
Okay.
right? So she knows who I am, and
Hmm.
you know me by what I've done,
Right.
but she didn't shy away from it.
Okay.
She she was understanding, because I made her understand a lot of things that made me understand a lot of things about myself.
Hmm.
So it helped me understand, and that's why it's very important that a man is able to communicate, because it helped me understand a lot of things about myself and why I even did it, in the
Right.
first place, or was doing it in the first place.
Hmm.
Um, but now it's like we understand each other so well,
Hmm.
that I could just tell her that I would, if I would probably talk to her, but
Hmm.
now I'm like, I ain't talking. I don't even want to think about it, because I know the energy that I have within me, like on a
Right.
whole nother level. Like it's like now I understand the power of my sperm. Like I understand that I like that's a whole nother episode. But
Hmm.
I knew in order for it to grow, and we had to dig deep into it. I knew that we had to go deep into my issues, because what happened was, what we started to see is, it wasn't just me cheating on her.
Hmm.
It was her lying to me and lying to
Right.
herself. And so
Right.
we had to figure out where that mirror was reflecting at me and where that mirror was reflecting on her,
Oh,
because
wow.
we were doing the same things, just differently.
Just differently.
Yeah.
Okay.
We were doing the
Mm.
exact same things, it's just differently. Like, she wasn't sleeping with anybody, but she was lying, and
Mhm.
she was not being forthcoming with information that she knew I had asked her before.
Mhm.
And so,
Gotcha.
but my reciprocant of that was that I'm doing the same thing. I'm just doing it on a physical level.
Exactly.
Whereas you're doing
Gotcha.
it on an internal emotional level. I'm doing it on a physical level. And
Gotcha.
so that created the false realities of the relationship. And
And that's that back and forth.
well, it's that back and forth, but it's like the non genuine relationship. Our
Yeah.
relationship didn't really start until that day.
Wow.
because she didn't know me
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't
No.
know her because she hadn't told me the truth. And
Right.
I had been dealing with other women.
That's right. Gotcha. Gotcha.
So we both got to take our blame for it. But we can either grow together or we can just leave the situation as is and just take on off.
Okay.
We can do it either way. It's just really a matter of what we decide to do, what we want to do. So you start the process by digging deep into the issue. You renovate the area that's the problem. You don't
Mm.
renovate the whole building. If a couple offices need renovating, you're gonna have to move some people over into other offices and work on those areas that need to be fixed on. So, but
Right.
ultimately, the communication is going to be what makes the relationship grow, or it can make it.
Mm-hmm.
Because if let me ask you this, because in your previous marriage, right,
Mm-hmm.
when you found out, did you all of a sudden just want a divorce immediately without even trying to talk to him and work through it?
Oh, I was so livid. I was livid. I was hurt,
Mm-hmm.
and I was so angry. So the first level that I had to peel back layers, to be honest. Because the first thing was like shock. That was
Mm-hmm.
the instant, because he was so seemingly in love with me,
And
like
he might
just
well have been. That's what the thing. That's the thing. Women think it's the same, and men and women can do things the same. It's really
mhm,
not. Because I think even my woman had to realize that. Like she'll tell you. She'll be the first one to tell you that she was like, I can do. If men can do it, I can do it. But
right.
until she started dealing with me, now she's way more feminine than
Hmm.
she was before because I'm a master at masculinity.
Right. You
You know what
can't
I mean?
outdo that.
You can't outdo that.
You
I've been
can't
doing this my
outdo
whole
that.
life. You just doing it now. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? But go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, yeah, but like there was a shock, I'm like, okay, this guy loves me more than anything. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so that, yeah, that was a huge shock. And then the second layer I peeled back was just anger. I was so angry. I was so angry. And in that anger, there was nobody to talk to.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was just anger. Like it was no, like it wasn't nothing that man could have said to me for us to be able to just talk it out or discuss, because I was just so angry. And then all of a sudden there was this pain, just a horrible pain, a horrible hurting. And at that moment, once I felt the hurt, that was when I was willing to talk,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and see if this relationship would be salvageable,
Mm-hmm.
you know. Um, I think that I allow, see, and this is why I talk to our listeners a lot about not allowing other people to come in to your relationship and tell you what to do,
Mm-hmm.
because sometimes that'll be against your better judgment. On the inside of you, you're going to want to do what's right for you, and so I just say to all of our listeners, trust yourself, go to yourself or to a mentor, somebody who
Mm-hmm.
you really do trust. Don't just listen to all these outside
But
voices,
definitely
because
listen to
outside,
relationships and chill.
yeah, listen to relationships and chill,
Yeah. Ain't gonna steer
really,
you
like,
wrong.
because all I heard was, oh, he cheated on you, get up out of there
Mm-hmm.
right now, like leave right now. And
Mm-hmm.
nobody had no, like, talk to your husband, see if you can work it out.
Mm-hmm.
Try to stay for a little while, just wait until the anger go down and talk.
Right.
No, everybody, go, go, go,
Leave.
go,
Leave.
pack your
Yep.
stuff, get up out of
But
there,
see, that's the thing. Like, I'm in a group on Facebook, and it's a group full of women. And if a woman makes a post about being cheated on or
Mhm.
something, some kind of issue like that, the first thing they'll say is leave.
Right.
But obviously, if you're posing that question, you have conflicting thoughts about
Yeah,
it.
you do. Hmm.
There would be no thought if you asked the question. Um,
Yeah.
but the answer, you can't. Running is not the answer to every problem. You gonna
That's
run.
not.
You gonna run back. See, a lot of people, they run from a problem to a bigger problem,
To a way bigger
a
that is
way
so
bigger
you
problem.
my goodness.
So
How
they,
how many people have done that?
I mean, people do it all the time. But see, I think a lot of the misconceptions is that women come prepackaged and ready for a relationship. What I found is women typically are not ready for the relationship that
Yeah.
I was ready for.
Yeah.
They were not ready for it because I bring so much. I'm gonna draw so
So,
much out of you. I'm gonna dehydrate you. You're
yeah,
gonna be
that's
like one
true.
of the little plastic things that you put food in and it like vacuums it out and it just I
Hmm.
forgot what they call it, but one of them is gonna be
Yeah.
dehydrated. You're gonna be like jerky. But then guess what? I'm gonna replenish it once I get an understanding of how we work together, and you're
Hmm.
gonna flourish. That's what happened to my woman. I had her, man. She'll tell you like she was sitting in a parking lot one day after we had discussed some things, and she literally was in like tears sitting in a parking lot for about an hour,
Wow.
because she finally realized that that's like I'm the problem too.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
I'm just as guilty. I'm just as messed up in this situation, and I never realized that.
That's
About
right.
myself, and
Hmm.
I
I
had to.
wish I would have did that. I do. Like when I look back
Mm-hmm,
at my decision to be so brash to, just run away immediately. Like I didn't even give him a chance
mm-hmm.
to talk to me. I feel like
Did he
it
come
was
to
it
you,
was
or
just a big mistake.
did he
Huh?
come to you, or did you find out on your own, or find out some
Oh
kind
no,
of?
I found out on my own. I
Oh,
found
okay.
out on my own. He didn't tell me anything, and he denies it to this day. Like he would never say he cheated on me. He would never
Uh,
lie.
I
Yeah,
know.
that's something he would never. He would go to his grave with.
He gonna take that to his grave. Like
He
I tell
taking
him,
that to his
I tell
grave.
like I be feeling so bad. I tell women that I've cheated on them. Like I've always been that guy to just say,
Yeah,
listen, like nobody's ever found out. Like, cause
about you.
yeah, I always just like, listen, I gotta talk to you. This is
That's
the deal.
dope.
Because
I love that.
I remember a long time ago, I was dealing with this chick. She was Jewish
Mhm.
and quote unquote Jewish, but I digress.
What that mean, quote unquote?
Hey, we'll have that dialogue off camera. But anyway,
Oh.
I was dealing with her. She was a very nice young lady, and but we wasn't really serious. We were just, like we pretty much just said, okay, we are gonna deal with each other, pretty much.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And so we went on a little weekend getaway, and I don't know. I had so much stuff going on. I had so many women I was dealing with. And I just was like, I was like, man, we went to this is how I learned that lesson. But I always knew it before, but it really hit home. So we went to the restaurant while we were on this little mini vacation,
Mhm.
and we ordered our food just like we sat down at the restaurant, ordered our food, and we ate our food, and then I interacted with the waitress, just talking to her, making small talk, nothing serious, and um the lady was so nice. She came back out after we ate now. She said, "Listen, I'm sorry, but there was a roach underneath the plate, and it had got smushed on the plate, like underneath it though." And she was like, "Even though you couldn't see it, I felt like I should have told you, and you know, and just know that we'll do whatever, you know what I mean, whatever
Mhm.
to compensate for your time, right?" And so I was like, man, that's so nice of her to tell me that because I didn't even know.
Mhm.
But the fact that she told me, she was a very forthcoming and honest woman.
Mhm.
And but it was the lesson. It was the lesson, man. It was the lesson. Like
Mhm.
no matter what it is, just because the person can't see doesn't mean it's not there.
Wow, that's dope.
And so
Oh man.
yeah, that was one of the life lessons I learned, and they refunded
Wow.
us. They comped the whole meal and all that kind of stuff. But I walked away
Wow.
from there with the lesson, and so I was like, I got to tell her. So I told her it was horrible. But the funny thing is, all the women that does happen with, they're like, are we still gonna be together? That was the
Wow.
one thing they
They
wanted to know.
still was loving you. Oh, that's crazy.
Because no, I mean, we wasn't even. We probably had been dealing with each other for maybe a month. But that night, I called my mom. I said, Mom, listen, I'm down here and I'm dealing with this young lady, and I just told her, about all the women that I was dealing with, and it's horrible. This is a horrible experience. She's upstairs
Wow.
crying. She's miserable and all that kind of
She
stuff,
was
right?
crying. Oh.
Yeah. And mom gave me some of the most priceless advice I ever heard.
What she
This is
say?
what she said. She said, listen, yeah, you messed up. I'm not even going to try to sugarcoat that and try to, make it seem like it's okay.
Okay.
But she said, listen, the thing that I want you to know is that woman, because you told her, she's going to look back on this situation 5, 10, 15, 20, however many years, and she's going to say, at least he was honest.
At least he was
Because
honest.
she's not going to ever meet a man that will tell her
The
that
truth.
he did it and the truth. She's going to have to find out on her own, but she'll never be able to find a man that actually comes forward and provides information.
I'm over here like you my superhero right now because I'm like, wow, like, do you know how devastating it is to, like, first of all, to be seen? Okay, when, like, we are made of light and dark. There's gonna be dark stuff we don't want nobody to know, and so to reveal that kind of thing, just because, not because somebody caught you, but just because it's the right thing to do. That is, to me, that is a remarkable sign of a great character. I can lie till I'm blue in the face, about all sorts of things, but to just be forthright and come with it, like, you know what, this is what I do, or this is what I did, that, to me, that's powerful. That is a powerful lesson right there. That's
it
great.
really shaped the life that I'm living now. I mean,
Wow.
People will more so forgive you for lying, but if you cheat on them, it's a wrap. You know
Oh,
what
it's
I
a
mean?
wrap. Yeah.
But I think it should be equal or probably even more so, because in that scenario, it taught me those lessons I learned, and I just cannot live if I'm with somebody with the secret of them not knowing who I really am. Like, I can't be with somebody like that. I cannot be with somebody who I can't talk to about who I am and what I'm feeling and where I am at that moment.
That's right.
It may change, but at least you need to be aware of who I am and what I am.
Wasn't it you that was talking before in one of the episodes about how, you, in front of all kinds of people, you're gonna be this and you're gonna be that, and how one day you were in front of a bunch of kids, and you're like, you don't curse in front of no kids, but you curse in
But that
front
was
of
the
your
rationale
bros.
I had. It wasn't that I was in front of a bunch of kids, but I had just my realization that I got to be consistent with who I am, because I'm not gonna talk the same way in front of a bunch of kids as I would in adults. And I'm not going to talk the way I talk to adults at church or at work or in a professional environment. I'm going to be all these different people in different places.
Right.
But I was like, I'm just going to be me. I'm just going to cut this out. I'm just going to cut the cussing out. So I don't use any profanity. And that's how I decided to live my life, like, just without any profanity. So that way I'm universal. Regardless of where I go, it's just going to be me. No profanity. And, you can't have good and dirty water come out the same faucet. So I was like, let me keep this faucet clean, so that way people can always drink, regardless if they're kids or they're adults. And that's my perspective on that.
Audience, I know y'all gotta love y'all host. I don't mean no harm.
I mean, I don't know if people really believe, like, I'm really like this, though. Like, it's weird. Like, I'm really like this. I'm just 100% me. Like, I feel like if you can't live as you, man, then you not living.
Yeah.
You ain't living if you're not living as you. Like, the true you is saying what you want to say, saying how you feel, but in a way that you realize, like, this is the best way for me. You know what I mean? Not just because you've been doing it for so long, but, like, after you come to a realization, and you continuously come to realizations to where you say, okay, I may have been like that 5 years ago, but let me reevaluate myself and see where things have changed. And if you don't do that periodically, then you're going to be basing who you are on who you were 15, 20 years ago, and you'll be dressing like you were when you was 12.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But you got to constantly be reevaluating yourself and say, okay, I can't fit in the same stuff I used to fit in, so I can't wear the same things that I used to wear. Shoot, matter of fact, people don't wear the stuff they wore in 2001.
That's the truth.
You know what I'm
That is
saying?
the
Because they
truth.
reevaluating. Like I'm gonna look like a fool if I walk out here with this size 19 XT
Sure enough.
and these babes,
And the
my
condom
babes.
on your eye.
Yeah, there you go.
Remember,
I
people was
think
having little bibs on, pacifiers in their mouth. Remember,
hey,
we was some fools back
good
then. We
old
was
big perk.
fooling. Big time. I'm done.
Good old big perk.
Good old big perk.
Oh man, a good old big perk. I'm gonna use that one for the rest of the time. Oh man. So yeah, but yeah, we I think if y'all ain't noticed by this episode, we like to mix a great chill atmosphere with fun and jokes, and also like the truth,
That's right.
because you don't get this everywhere, and but we also want to give solutions to problems. We don't just want to just talk and talk and talk, and you end up just being entertained, but you never get any meat and any results. But people, just our nature, we got to have the sweet in order to digest the medicine. We got to
That's
have a
right.
little sugar to chase that medicine down. So,
Mm.
but I think you can start anywhere in a relationship and rebuild and regrow, because you're always supposed to be growing anyway. So when the issue comes up, it's really just a sign that you guys have lost the disconnection somewhere along the line, to where,
Mhm.
okay, if something didn't add up, something didn't measure up, we missed the mark on something we got to go back to the drawing board on and reevaluate. Now we may have to reevaluate the whole building and see if the building is salvageable and we can work with the whole building, or we just might gotta we just gotta work on the first floor. We may just have to
Mhm.
only work on the first floor, but we know that, okay, if we work on the first floor this year, it's gonna be new. But the second floor, third floor, fourth floor, fifth floor, they're getting older. So we need to go ahead and evaluate all of these floors and find out, okay, what areas are we still good with our friendship? Are you still good, in the sexual department? Because a lot of times when women have been cheated on, the sex part is just, it's over.
Gone.
Yeah, it's
Mhm.
just not there anymore. And
Mhm.
so you got to reevaluate all these things and start rebuilding trust, men. And really, the way a man can redevelop trust is to recommit himself to a woman, recommit himself, and reintroduce himself as who he really is.
Who he really is.
Because
Okay.
you'll be very surprised if you remain who you are after that, how a woman will adjust to you.
Yeah.
And you may be able to convince her that lifestyle for y'all works,
Right.
or you may say, okay, I just want to be with you, but help me be better in this area.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the times for women, and y'all don't know, is we're fighting against biology. We're fighting against like I always tell this story, man. My male dog,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I have a female dog. She just came out of heat. My male dog, y'all that have dogs, I tell this story all the time. He goes crazy when she's in heat. He cannot sleep. He don't want to eat. He don't want no ball to play around with. He don't want nothing but to get to her.
Wow.
And that's how it is for the most part for men. It's like a constant thing. Like it's just on our mind every day. So just imagine every day in your brain, in your head, you just hear this all day.
Mm-mm.
I don't know if y'all can hear
Wow.
it, but it's just a tapping every day, and that's how much men think about sex on a daily basis. And then you
Wow.
seeing all these chicks, like I said at Walmart, you got chicks walking around in their drawers, you got chicks walking around in these little short shirt skirts, chicks walking around in their whatchamacallit dress, sundresses, and I mean it's a lot for a man to take in, especially when he's trying to
Mm-hmm.
do the right thing. So you got to work with him. You got to like my wife is just we just work together so well because we have that open dialogue. Like she understands that, okay, like you're a man and that's just a natural thing. When you look at nature, all male mammals are like that. Like all
Yeah.
male mammals want to have as many women as they female of their species as they can.
As I can. Mm-hmm.
But the only one that can't is the human mammal. So
Right.
we have to work on y'all have to work with us on that. But every
Yeah.
other mammal, all of our male counterparts, they get as many as they want. And
They
y'all,
sure do.
and women will look at the Discovery Channel like, man, that lion is a bad man.
That line out cold.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So y'all is like root for the lion and root for the wolf and root for
Oh.
all these other mammals that got most. But then if a man say, listen, I think I might want to have another woman. No, oh no, partner.
No, we territorial. Us human women are
Shoot, they
territorial. It's
territorial.
all get out.
They
Shoot.
territorial. But I'm just giving an idea of how it could work and how it looks. But you guys got to start working on different floors. You got to have that dialogue within your own
Yeah.
conversation, because what way may work for somebody else won't work for you. What may work
Yeah.
for you ain't gonna work for everybody. So
That's
you got
true.
to work with what you got and who you with, and decide whether or not it's worth working with. If it's not
Yeah.
working with that person, then you go and continue to search, continue the journey.
I
And
don't
your
mean no
heart and your feelings and
harm.
all that stuff, you got to get over that. But hey, man, if y'all want to make it work,
Make
y'all
it
want to
work.
start rebuilding and
I
working
don't
on,
got
start
no
on the
problem.
floor of the problem, and then dig a little bit deeper. Well, why are you having this problem? And you ask the question of
That's it.
why? Is it
Hmm.
because of this? Is it because of that? You throw out suggestions. Like, you just try to figure out who this person is if they're not communicative, but also make them listen to this episode for sure, because I
Yeah.
think the way I'm open about it, about what happened in my relationship, I think it
Yeah.
will help a lot of men to understand that, listen, this ain't something that you only struggle with. I know for me and my woman, I had to be upfront and tell her this is what the deal is. And our relationship is so much better now because we're living in truth. We're not
Hmm.
living in she's believing one thing and I'm doing another thing, and I'm believing one thing and she's doing another thing. We are on the same page and we understand each other to the T.
Right.
And so that is extremely important.
I think this is one of my favorite episodes so far.
I mean, this is probably the most personal
I think
part of
so. It
the
was very
most
revealing.
personal one that we've had so far.
It was very revealing, but it was so helpful because, you know, it's not easy to be a man as we know it, but to hear it from a man makes it a lot easier for us to understand.
Mm.
And, and your honesty, being so candid for all of us, it means something to us because then it let us know that good, great, amazing men can cheat.
Right. Look at
And
Bill
that
Cosby.
is really like that's a big deal. That's
Yeah.
significant.
I looked at it like, dang, like we are so like Kevin Hart, Jay-Z, Bill Cosby,
Yeah.
um, whoever else you can think of, all them dudes, Tristan Thompson,
Yeah.
anybody you can think of, like any of those male dudes you can think of, they've had some kind of scandal or whatnot. But
Yeah.
then at a certain point, ladies, you got to ask yourself, is it something that society we've put too much of a restriction on?
Mhm.
Because it ain't just a black thing. I noticed that a lot of other races, they have that same problem. But don't think that just because these couples are in their 50s and 60s, because those be the swingers anyway. Those be
Yeah.
the ones that be going out getting their rocks off, you know what I'm saying, at a hotel, and then they come back and go to church on Sunday like
Oh
nothing
yeah. You
happened.
better believe it.
Yeah. So, you know, people got to stop pretending like sex ain't something that is two parts. It's now, as I'm getting better at this, I'm understanding like the power of my my loins, so to speak. But the power
Mhm.
of my sperm is my code and my DNA is inside of my sperm.
Mhm.
And the scripture says, "Don't give your strength to a woman," meaning what a lot of people call cheat or life force. When me and my wife have sex, and but prior to having sex, we're discussing, we're growing, we're learning each other, we're learning about different things, and we're having these express interactions. And then we have sex, it solidifies that within her, so that when she does get when she if she was to get pregnant at that moment, everything that we've developed at that moment up until that point will be encoded into her, from my sperm to her egg, and that's what
Wow.
we'll be building from. But it also
Okay.
solidifies that part of our relationship where we can grow from too.
Mm,
So the inception process is deeper than we think. We think we're
mm,
just it's just our sperm, but no, it's a spiritual thing too, because we are spirit. So we give a spirit. So internally, whenever we're growing in an area and we're learning, we're getting better in areas, our children also receive that, because that goes through your whole being.
mm.
So I can't share that with just anybody.
That's powerful.
I can't just share that with just any old woman,
Hmm.
because it's a lot to give up. Even the court systems know that, because the court systems will put a man on child support way quicker than they'll put a woman on child support, and the man bears the brunt of the responsibility for a child and for a relationship more so
Mm.
than a woman does. So even the court systems are a lot worse on men than they are on women as it relates to relationships.
Right.
So men, you got to take that into account. So if you just out here slinging sperm everywhere and having kids all over the place, and then you wondering why your kids are having kids and having kids, because that's what you're giving to that woman. You're
Exactly.
encoding that DNA that you have, that consciousness that you have, into that woman, and she's replicating what you have.
Exactly.
So you got children that do the same thing. You got generations of people that are doing the same thing, but not me in my house.
Nope. Got that right.
Absolutely, the apple don't fall too far, as I always say. But it could change. I've changed a lot. My dad is not. I'm not like my dad in a lot of areas, but I am in a lot of areas. So I have to
Uh-huh.
be conscious of those things and work around them and become better in those areas. So
Yeah.
that's what I did. But you don't want to repeat cycles. So you start where you are. You start with the area that is the problem,
Okay.
especially men, because it's important to get. And this is my last point. It's important to get that area under control, because like it's not, you can only avoid it for a little while. It's going to be the inevitable. It's going to be the thing that kills the relationship. So you have to be able to express that thing that you know is your animal that you're trying
Mm.
to control.
Okay.
So, but women have their own animal that they're trying to control, but they don't see it as an animal. They see it as though it's just what you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to tell everybody everything. You're supposed to keep some stuff to yourself. Not in no real relationship.
Mm-mm.
You got to talk about your past. You got to talk about all the things you did in the past and all the things that's happened to you and all the things you let happen to you,
Yeah.
because that is he's shaping his reality, his perspective of you, which is not true, which is causing him to have doubts about you. So he may have a little side thing on the side, because he gonna find something out eventually.
Yeah.
There's something to think about.
Wow. That's deep.
There's something to think about when you look at it like that. Like all the stuff you lied to him about, all the partners you said you didn't have and nothing ever happened. Those lies equate to a man physically, because me and my woman realize is that the things that she's not doing, I replicate up until the
Mm.
point where we started telling the truth. So I'm the physical representation of what she has going on internally. Remember, the serpent beguiled the woman. The woman gave to the man. The man ate, everything changed.
Wow.
So the physical changed as a result of the man doing something. So the man's doing is more of a physical nature, whereas the woman's doing is more of an internal nature, from influences, from things that she allowed to happen, the things that she allowed to hear or she heard and was deceived or beguiled or believed or whatever. So that's why it's
Mm.
important for a man to come and examine a woman, a real man. I'm not just talking about any old man. I'm not talking about any dude. To
Mm.
examine that woman and just see where she is, where she's been, and make an assessment on that.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, but that's the key
Mm.
to it.
That was
Anything
good.
else, Christina Latrice?
No, this was really good. Really, really good episode. I feel very informed. Things that make you go,
Hey, it
No.
is what it is. That's been today's episode. I hate to leave y'all on that note, but something to think about till next week.
Yep. Till next
I don't
week.
know what we'll have. Me and my wife might do an episode next week, but
Yeah.
I don't know, man. You just got to be real. Just keep it real. Whatever you do, just keep it real. Keep it authentic. Keep it genuine, and just be yourself,
Yeah.
man. At the end of the day, if you can't be yourself, then what's the point? What's the point of
What's
any
the
of
point?
it? What's the point of
Let's
being in? What's the
embrace
point of
it.
relationships and chill? What's the point of being in a relationship if you can't be yourself in that
Right.
relationship? Because
That's right.
it's no point. So we're done rambling for the day.
Hey.
Christina Lynn,
All right, y'all.
Big
Embrace
Perk,
you. Big Perk. Embrace you, Big Perk.
Big
We
Perk. I
love
might
you,
take. I
Big
might
Perk.
take that name. I might actually just keep that name for myself.
I
Good
love
old
it, Big Perk.
Big Perk. Oh man,
Oh my goodness.
R. Anthony, aka Big Perk, is back in the building. I might use that for real. And hey man, we out of here. Y'all catch us on the next go round. Peace.
We out. Peace.
Thanks for listening to Relationships and Chill. For more information on cultivating the relationship of your dreams, please follow us on Instagram or Facebook at Relationships and Chill, or subscribe to our YouTube channel at Relationships and Chill TV. You can also visit our website at www.relationshipsandchill.com. Together, let's make relationships great again.